Over the next few afternoons, the plan was to remove all the spray paint from the bonnet. Martha made a start while I removed the remaining silicone that was left in the passenger side door gap. I was able to properly get at it now that the passenger door had been removed. After the bulk of the silicone was removed, I used a Stanley knife and some sandpaper to remove the remaining residue left by the silicone. I then used some wet and dry sandpaper to remove the spray paint from the rear of the passenger wheel arch. We had made a good start and left it there for the day. When I came back the next day, I decided to take a slightly different approach to removing the spray paint from the bonnet with just wet and dry sandpaper. It was just going to take such a long time as there were so many layers of black spray paint. I decided to use the wet and dry sandpaper to create a border around the bonnet. So then tomorrow I can use the orbital sander in the wide open areas, making sure to avoid the edges. Like with all the areas covered in spray paint, this was going to take some time to remove. I was mainly using 320 grit wet and dry sandpaper for this. The day went to plan. I created the border around the bonnet, ready for tomorrow, so I decided to stop for the day. After a good day on the van yesterday, I came back the following day ready to continue. Now with the van unwrapped, I was ready for another day's work. I was really happy with the progress made the day before. It was time to get back to removing the spray paint. This time I would be using the orbital sander. I was using a mix of 80 grit and 120 grit sandpaper. The 80 grit was to thin the black spray paint out, and the 120 grit was to remove the remaining spray paint, trying to limit the amount of times I went down to the bare metal. Again, a very slow process, but the spray paint just had to be removed. This was another good day. I would just need to come back tomorrow to finish off tidying up around the bonnet vent. I came back the next day to remove the remaining spray paint. Today would be a mix of using the orbital sander and the wet and dry sandpaper. I was just going to keep working today until all the remaining spray paint had been removed from the bonnet. It was feeling good at this stage, as it felt like the home straight, and just as well as I was starting to lose light. This van really is going to be a labour of love, but I am determined to get it back to how it should be. There was just the last little bit to remove around the vent. Now another area of the van is spray paint free. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and ring the bell to see what happens next.